Hello. Hello, everybody. My name is Donna Watson, and I am so excited to be coming to you live, trying some new technology. So I'm hoping that this is all working out just fine and everybody can hear me just fine. We'll wait a few minutes for people to show up. And I will be joined today by, so excited. I'm going to be joined today by Brandon J Peterson, who is the audiobook narrator. And here he comes. Brandon, can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect. Awesome. I'm so excited. This is so much fun.
Yeah, you're right. It is a lot of fun.
Oh my goodness. So we just went live.
Perfect.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And I was just getting ready to tell people what we're going to talk about. So I am
Perfect.
the author of Soul Designers. Here we go. An apocalyptic science fiction novel. And it was released mid last year. But Brandon and I have been working on an audiobook. And Brandon is the narrator. And I have to tell you, Brandon, that when I was looking at the demo tapes, and this is going to be an Audible exclusive book.
Mhm.
And so I was looking through the files and looking for the perfect narrator. I'd thought about doing it myself. I'm really glad now that I haven't, because when I heard your demo tape, I went, oh, it's Jack. And that's Jack's voice. I've got to have this guy. I had a couple people in mind, and I was so glad that you accepted it because you were my first pick.
That's awesome.
I got the voice is just perfect for Jack, the main character in the book. I'm so excited. So, tell me a little bit about yourself. What are you up to in the world? And how did you get into narrating audiobooks?
Yeah, awesome. So I'm right now I'm kind of trying to transition into being a full-time audiobook narrator. And normally my day job, I guess you could say, my day job is that I do CAD designing for a civil engineering firm. I'm just a drafter, and we draft up subdivisions and things like that. But I've always, when I sit there, I have a lot of free time on my hands, where I guess not free time, but like time where I'm sitting by myself in an office. So I listen to a lot of audiobooks there. And I started thinking, I'd like reading books. I used to read books. I read books all the time to my wife at night, or to my kids, or different things. And I was like, I think I could do this. I think I could try doing this. And so now it's kind of we've been going since 2020, I think. And so it's kind of slowly hit the ground going, but I think now we're getting some good traction. I think your book is the 9th book I've done so far, and I've loved every minute of it. It's just a blast to tell stories and to read different books.
Well, I've gotten a chance to hear your talents on Soul Designers, and I am just so tickled. I so enjoyed listening to your talents and how you voice the different characters. What goes through your head when you're doing that? How do you come up with the different voices for the characters?
So typically I like to try and read the book before, just, so I have a text to speech reader that I'll listen to it that way at work. And that helps me with a lot of the pronunciations and things, but I'll listen to it and kind of get a feel for the different characters. And a lot of times I'll ask the different authors if they have any, because a lot of times, like if I'm writing a story or doing something like that, I have like, okay, they sound like this in my head, And so
Mhm.
I want to make sure that the voice I'm using is whatever the author is hearing in their head. But if they don't have a voice, then sometimes it's just, I don't know. I think this voice sounds good for whatever reason. I just kind of go with it. And if it works good, then it flows. And a lot of times I have my wife, she kind of proofs all the audio and whatnot, and sometimes I'll have her listen to some of the voices and be like, what do you think about these different things? Or and sometimes she'll tell me, she writes little notes in the margins of the books as she's proofing them, like, yeah, your accent sounds good here, or this part needs some work, or you're mixing up your accents. It's helpful. So
That is really helpful. You got a ace in your pocket there. You're
yes.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So how long does it generally take you to create an audiobook, and did you have to invest in a lot of equipment, or how does that work?
So when I first started, I would, I was going on to ACX, which is, where you find a lot of demo tapes, and I was listening to a bunch of different audio, and it took me quite a while get to the point where I felt like I was being able to produce audio that was quality work. And it's interesting because the microphone I'm using here, that you see right here, it's actually a cheaper microphone, but I feel like it's kind of like, I guess you could say like a bad lens on a camera that kind of smooths out the wrinkles a little bit sometimes for me. But, so it works out pretty well in that case. And I've got other microphones and things that I've used, and they're higher quality, and I can get more complete sound with them. But it's been a little bit of a process between me and I'll like I said before, I'll record some and I show it to my wife and be like, what do you think of this? And she probably gets sick of me being like, what do you think of this and this? And she's like, they all sound the same. Your first one sounded the best. Just stick with the first one. But I mean, like right now, I typically record in my closet. So like, it's got all the clothes around us, and it's a walk-in closet and a little shelf built with some foam padding that kind of helps dampen the sound. Um, and then I've got 4 kids, and so I like to record early in the morning or late at night so that I don't have to fight the background noise that can come from excited children.
That's
Um,
smart.
so it typically, like, I guess I'm trying to think, like chapter 14 in this book is one of the longer chapters. I think audio wise, it came to almost an hour worth of audio. I think for me to record that, because a lot of times as I'm reading, if I have a mistake, I'll stop. I'll it's called a punch and roll, which is where it punches out the mistake and then it continues recording. So it typically will take me usually about double the time to do the listening, to do the recording of what is there, is usually
Mm,
a safe estimate. So if it's an hour worth of audio, it takes me about 2 hours to an hour and 45 minutes to do the full recording. And then from there, once it gets finished, I kick all the finished audio over to my wife, and she reads through with the book and listens, and then she makes marks all along, and then I go back and do it again. So
yeah. Well, I know I was really there were a couple of little corrections that I
right.
requested, but the files you sent me were so clean and, that yeah, yeah, it sounds so good. It sounds really good. Um, so we talked beforehand if you
Mhm.
might have a favorite section that you wanna recreate for anyone. I thought it
Sure.
would be fun to see you in action
Sure.
and hear a little demo sample of the book that people can get next month.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It was funny because this was one of my favorite parts, and also one of my wife's favorite parts as well. This is a little further on in the book when Jack's meeting with Pedro. Um, but so yeah, I don't usually have people watching my face. So if I make weird faces, I don't know. So we'll see how this
That's
goes.
okay.
All right, here we go. Jack leaned forward and took a closer look. There in the bottom of each vial rested a small contact lens, the color of the angry ocean on a stormy day. The blue is so dark. Has to be, Pedro replied. Gotta cover those pockets of gold in your head. He chortled at his own joke. Jack shook his head, then stilled, frozen with a sobering realization. Pedro, he began slowly, how much will all of this cost me? Pedro sobered and scrutinized Jack's face. Well, I figure you don't have any money, so I'll make you a deal. I'll fix you up with a new hair and eyes, and all I ask of you is your corneas. Jack stared at the man in disbelief. He had known the price would be high, but this? He took a deep breath and sighed, backing away. No. He shook his head. I can't do that. After a moment of silence, Pedro burst out into laughter. Jack looked at the man in confusion. So that's one of one of our favorite parts. You can I don't know if you can see there in the margin, but my wife wrote "Bahaha," favorite part of the book. So
I love it. The hell we put Jack through in this poor book.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's
It's
great. I
awesome.
love it. I love it. I love it. Oh,
It's a lot of fun.
so what else have you done? Talk to me about some of your other work. People are interested in following you. What can they find for you?
For sure. So the first book I ever did was Origin Journey by Scott Simpson, and that book was. I'm really grateful to Scott. He took a big chance on me, just being a nobody, just no no credit or nothing to show for my work, and so that was my first ever work that I did, and that one took me a long time to learn the ropes. But then I did the second book was The Shadow Maker, and that one is a really fun thriller if you like crime thrillers and the FBI chases and things like that. Some of the other books that I've done more recently would be Brave Rider, which is it's an awesome western. If you like good,
Mm,
Pony Express and cowboys and Indians, and that was a lot of fun. Um, that one was a good time. And then there's what was the other one that we just did? Your Precious Possessions, which is another thriller. I've always known that a lot of times I either have like the sarcastic guy voice or I have the bad guy voice. So that a lot of times I get hired because of my bad guy voices, which I've discovered. It's like I just got hired for a book that's coming. We're gonna be working on here in the coming weeks, and that was one of the things the author was saying. She's like, your voice for the bad guy was just perfect, and I was like, yeah, I get that a lot. So, but yeah,
that's fun. And are all of those available on Audible? I'm not sure if people can search there by narrator.
yeah. So if you go onto Audible and look up any book that I've done, you can usually click on my name, and then it'll bring up the list of all the books that I've got on there. I've done one children's book, I think, which was interesting because it took me, it was only a few pages, so it took me all of like a night. I just went and read it and then turned it back in, which I told my wife that was pretty nice.
That's pretty quick.
but
Nice.
I do enjoy the novels. I really enjoy those. I actually um I'm working on a side project as well. It's a podcast where I read the classic uh, novels, and I try to
Mhm.
put sound effects to them and differentiate the voices and whatnot.
Nice.
And so that I'm trying. I love reading. And I love those classic books so much that I want people to love them too.
Right.
I think it also helps me keep up on my my narrating skills. So,
Did I see you were working on Dracula?
yes. Yep. Yep.
That's a good
We're
one.
working on that was my first introduction into like the classic novels, I think. And that was the one that really hooked me. I really like those old monster novels, Dracula, Frankenstein, uh,
Mhm.
Heckle and Jekyll and Hyde. Sorry, but all those, those are all just fun books that I think kind of just get forgotten about sometimes. But
Mhm. Mhm.
that's always been my greatest joy with the audiobooks is, you know, people who sometimes don't have the time to read a book, or that, they're busy going back and forth, and it's like you still want to take part in that. And as I don't know if this is the way you feel, but I would feel like as an author, it's fun to hear your story kind of brought to life a little
Oh,
bit.
absolutely. Yeah.
It's it's cheaper than making a movie, and it's actually word for word the book rather than whatever they decide to make as the movie.
Right, right. With the movie, they've got to get in the screenwriter, they've gotta rewrite it into a script, and it
Right,
always changes a few things, and
right.
which is always a little disappointing because it seems like the book's always better, you know?
Yep. The book is always better.
Oh my goodness, yes, absolutely. Oh, so let's see, what else was I gonna ask you? We have yes, we're gonna have some giveaways when we launch the book.
Perfect.
I wanna make sure people don't miss that. Um, do you have a website to find you?
Yes, it's a Wix website. Let me see. I have to remember what it is. It's on my ACX page. It's Brandon Peterson 20, I think, something along those lines. And if you Google search me as a narrator, it should pop up um,
Okay,
towards the top. I can't remember the address exactly, but I do have a website there that has some of my more recent books that have come out. People can find links to different work there and how to contact me if they're
got it,
interested in.
perfect. Okay, and if anyone is more interested in soul designers, I wanted to read the, summary from the back of the book, because this is basically about a half-breed who is seeking immortality for genetically engineered slaves. And Jack is the half-breed offspring of a human mother and genetically engineered father. He lives a life of pain, the poor guy, I put him through hell. He's alienated by human society, and he's also alienated by a lot of the gens who have been created by mankind to perform heavy labor. So not only do the gens live like slaves, but humans have withheld from them the one piece of DNA that would grant them a soul. So Jack is determined to uncover this well hidden secret and to rescue his fellow gens from a meaningless existence with no prospect of eternal life. So he starts to infiltrate the ranks of the ministry of religion, and he finds the farther he goes, the more this is going to cost him and possibly even his own. So I am so excited to have this. The paperback is available and the ebook is available now. The audiobook will be coming out next exclusively on Audible. So you can follow me at donnawatson.com. That's Donna with one N, DONAWATSON. And if you want to get on the mailing list to join in on any of the contests or find out when you can or where you can get the book, you can sign up for my email list at donnawatson.com. We're going to have a lot of fun getting this out and doing some giveaways. We'll have some audiobooks to give away. I'm so excited. This is my first full-length novel. I do have one other book that's out in paper and audio, which is a volume of Christmas short stories, which was a lot of fun. I kind of did a blog to book years and years ago. And now I'm jumping back full-time into my author career after a hiatus with a nonprofit that I worked for a while. So,
Awesome.
anyway, do you have any other thoughts to share with our readers? Do you have any projects that are coming up that you want us to look out for?
Yeah, I guess we just had the next episode in Dracula drop today. So if you're interested in that sort of a thing, that's there. Coming up, I've got two more books that are currently in the works. One is a clean romance novel, which I always joke that my wife is happy when I get those because she enjoys reading the romance stories, and I always grumble about them. But that's she enjoys them, and I don't mind telling them. I like to tell those stories. But and then the other one is the fourth installment of a fantasy series coming up for another author, excuse me, and the title of the book is called Assassin. But yeah, I guess just keep reading books. They're wonderful. They always have wonderful lessons in them, and they're well worth the time. They're better than most other media that's out there right now. Just keep reading good books, I guess.
Yep. You can't beat a good book. You really can't.
Yep.
You can't. Well, this has been a lot of fun, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join me and
Thank
to
you.
chat with our viewers. And
Sure.
It's going to be out soon. We're almost there, Brandon.
Yep. Yep. It'll be there. I'm excited.
Me too. All
Awesome.
right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
If you need anything, feel free to reach out to me. I'm on Facebook and you can get me there or on my website. So thanks, everybody.
See
We'll
ya.
see you later. Bye bye.